Oh, well, the Socceroos squad to take on New Zealand has been revealed, and there are some very exciting inclusions in this squad. Hey, guys, my name's Lockie. This is Ozwatch Football, where we talk all things Australian football, of course. And we are live right now to react and break down this squad that has just been revealed by head coach Tony Popovich. So many fascinating inclusions and some fascinating omissions as well to talk about. But I've got to say, just right off the bat, my initial reaction and feelings is that this is one of the most exciting soccer squads we've seen in recent times. There's some really promising young players who have been included in the squad that many fans have been crying out for these guys to be named in Australia squads in recent times. And finally, they have been included. The first one I just want to talk about straight off the bat is Adrian Segicic. And all of us, myself included, were fooled earlier this week when the Australia under-23 squad was announced. Adrian Segicic was in that squad, and he has been named here in the Socceroos squad. So what was the thinking there? Were they just trying to prank us? It certainly, I was certainly caught off guard by that, and made a short video about it earlier in the week discussing Adrian Segicic being included in the under-23s, and that possibly meant that he was going to miss out in the Socceroos squad, but he is in the squad alongside the likes of Nestor Irankunda. First call-ups for Milanovic and Botic. Great to see those guys included. Across the midfield, there's a lot to be excited about. Anthony Calick is in the squad. Great to see him in there after he's been getting some regular minutes lately as well. Aiden Rustic is back, as well as Sammy Silvera. And no Matty Ryan as well. That's the other big thing to talk about. Matty Ryan not in this squad. A lot to talk about there in regards to the goalkeeper position. What's happening there? Obviously, Matty Ryan, we know he hasn't been playing much football lately. So it is Joe Gauchi, Tom Glover, and Paul Izzo who are in the squad for Australia this time around. But jump in the live chat. Say good day. How are you guys feeling about the squad? I'm certainly optimistic that this is one of the strongest, I think, teams we could have picked right now. There's maybe only a couple of players here and there that I thought were maybe unlucky to miss out on the squad. But overall, you look at this team, and there's some really exciting combinations there I think we could see. And I do want to talk about as well what maybe we could see in terms of formation from this team, because you look at the players that we have in this list, and there's plenty of midfielders, plenty of forwards there. Obviously, some versatile players who can play, a few different positions. But we'd love to hear from you guys as well. Like, what formation do you think we're going to play? Do you think there's a chance we could see a shift in formation? We'll talk about it a little bit later in the stream in regards to what formation we could see the Socceroos play. Now, as we know, the Socceroos have generally gone with the back five. That's what Tony Popovich has been playing with Australia of late, and it's been working very well for us. Obviously, Australia under the leadership of Tony Popovich yet to fall to defeat. So we're in good form at the moment. And I tell you what, this should be a really great test coming up against a good New Zealand side. Very fascinated to see how we go there. G'day, Sketchy Films. Predictions in terms of like score predictions. Tell you what, it's going to be really fascinating watching these two teams go together, because you've got a New Zealand squad who, again, have a really exciting contingent of young players coming through, and a star striker in Chris Wood. So I feel like just an early prediction right now. I mean, we'll do a dedicated preview video next week, but I'm going to say a win for either side. I'm going to say a win in Canberra for Australia, and maybe a win in Auckland for New Zealand. I think New Zealand will prove a really tricky test here for Australia. They're probably pretty evenly matched. You might have to say maybe Australia just edges it a little bit, but maybe that's my own Aussie bias. G'day, Tan Lee, who says strongest pop-up squad. There's certainly an argument for that. And it certainly goes against what we've seen previously from Tony Popovich, and even going back to Graham Arnold, he's included some really exciting young talent that he's emitted in past squads. And look, maybe that comes down to the fact that these are friendly matches, even though Tony Popovich in his press conference today noted that he doesn't like using the word friendly. These are very competitive games, of course, for Australia. But maybe he's utilising these games as an opportunity to give a platform to these younger players to really show what they can do, the likes of Noah Botic, Nicholas Milanovic, Adrian Segicic as well. MT, g'day. Any update on Harry Sutar's injury? When is he returning? I don't think we have any update on that recently. He may well be out for some time still. Obviously, really disappointing that Harry Sutar suffered another long-term injury. But yeah, we might. We don't know. we don't know. That's ultimately all we can say on that. Hey, possibly we may see him return to action next year, possibly for Australia. But I mean, just speaking of the defence, though, I mean, it is looking pretty solid at the moment. Jordy Boss in there as really the only recognised left wing back option. Central defenders, Burgess, Chikati, Deganek, Matthews, Rolls in there as well. Miller and Karacic. Good to see Frank Karacic in the squad. He's been in really good form lately for his club side. Has scored a couple of goals as well from right back. So I think it's good to see him included in the team. An interesting one is Hayden Matthews. Hayden Matthews is a player who obviously we know has enormous potential, and Tony Popovich has included in his squads previously. Hasn't been playing much for Portsmouth, has been on the bench quite a lot for them, but he's one of these guys who I think could really be the future for the Socceroos in defence. So great to see Matthews included in the squad for me, even though he hasn't necessarily been playing that many minutes lately. So my question for you guys is, if you had to highlight which individual player are you most excited to see included in this squad? I mean, there are so many players to be excited about. To kick it off, for me, it has to be Adrian Segicic. He's a player who has just been unbelievable, has just been fantastic for Portsmouth in the few appearances that he has made for them this season. But he's been starting for them, and not just starting, getting good minutes, but scoring goals and setting up goals too now. Already a few goal contributions in his short Portsmouth career. So to think about what he could do in the Socceroos squad, linking up with some of those exciting attacking players around him, Adrian Segicic, man, he has to be the one to watch for me. G'day, Troy. And of course, fellow Mariners fan Troy, we're very happy to see Max Ballard included in the squad. One of these players who we've been crying out for. A lot of people really surprised to see that he wasn't included in many squads over the last year after some really good form, playing regularly in the Netherlands. So Max Ballard is in there as well. MC says, missing reliable Duke. Maybe we've seen the last of him. Look, the Mitch Duke discussion is certainly an interesting one. In my prediction for this squad, we did a video on the channel earlier this week predicting this squad for the Socceroos. I did include Mitch Duke just because he provides that experience, and it's great to have those more experienced players in those squads, obviously, to help mentor the younger guys coming through. And it is especially surprising considering you look at the two. There's really only two recognised strikers in this squad, and those guys are Noel Bocic and Mohamed Toure. Great to see Toure there. He's made a good start to the season with Randers. And Noel Bocic has sort of been coming off the bench more so for his club in Austria. But again, great to see him included. He had a great last 12 months with Western United. But no Mitch Duke. So, and again, I believe this is a 25-player squad, right? So there was room for one more. So kind of surprised that someone like Duke maybe wasn't included in this squad. Tonley says, I'm excited to see Calic. Yes, Anthony Calic, this guy who's been working really hard over in Europe. He's playing regularly for his club side, and it's great to see him included. Teammates of Fran Karacic in Croatia. So Anthony Calic included in the squad. Very curious to see what he brings to the team. No Ocon for both the under-23s and seniors. Ocon Jr. Yes. No Paul Ocon Jr. Ocon Exler in the team here. He was included in the last Socceroos squad, wasn't he? Which was a bit of a surprise, I think, to many of us. But you're right. He wasn't included in the under-23s, was he? An interesting one there. Sketchies asks, do you think this will be a similar squad for the World Cup? Oh, interesting question. Great question. Oh, it's a very good question. I think Matty Ryan will return. I think, but who knows? I mean, Tony Popovich, we shouldn't forget, Tony Popovich in his first game in charge, all the way back in October last year, he started Joe Gauci ahead of Matty Ryan. Matty Ryan was in the squad, and he left him on the bench to start Joe Gauci. I just wonder if Tony Popovich is sort of keen to go for Joe Gauci, the younger option, the guy who's, Joe Gauci could potentially be Socceroos starting goalkeeper for the next decade or so. Is he that next starting goalkeeper for Australia? So that's an interesting one there. But I think Matty Ryan would be in this Socceroos squad with a good season in Spain. Aside from that, I mean, it could well be very similar. Hey. Blinkers mentions that Ocon has only just signed for Sydney, played about 3 games, just needs more time. It could come down to that as well. Yeah, you could be right there, Blinkers. Ocon Exler has been playing in the Australia Cup games for Sydney FC, just recently knocked out in the quarterfinals. He was looking good for Sydney FC too. But yeah, maybe once the A-League season gets underway, he will be in the mix. G'day, Adstar, who says, I like this squad. I think we're all feeling pretty happy, hey, with this team. All right, we're going to look at potential formations in just a moment. Great to have your questions coming in. Feel free to throw any questions or comments, reactions to the squad in the live chat. Tarnley asks, are there any players you were hoping would have made this squad? Yeah, again, I think I wouldn't have mind Mitch Duke being in the squad just to provide that experience up top. I think I would have included Matty Ryan. I know he hasn't been playing lately, just recently, a couple of days ago, signing with Levante in Spain. So I would have included him in this squad, maybe ahead of Tom Glover, who hasn't necessarily been playing all that much lately for Middlesbrough. Aside from that, Thomas Deng was another player who I thought might have been in the mix. And Callum Elder, I think, was another one as well. He has been playing regularly for Derby County in the English Championship. So that's another interesting one as well. There's not a lot of depth at the left back position, left wing back. Yeah. MT mentions missing McGree and Connor Metcalf too. Metcalf is in there, isn't he? Metcalf is in there, unless I missed it. Yeah, Metcalf is in there. But McGree still out, I believe, with the injury. I get A-League X. I think if we pick the young players that are doing well at club level, we can make it far. It's just our tactics that may cost us, says A-League X. And yes, I believe McGree is injured at the moment. Dude, I really feel for Riley McGree, man. We know Riley McGree is an immensely talented player. And he featured in the last window for the Socceroos, of course. But I believe he's out injured, eh? Hasn't been playing for Middlesbrough lately. A-League X says, Bummer about Triantis. Dude, I mean, it feels like a distant memory now. A lot of us are talking about Nectar Triantis and very keen to see him involved in the Socceroos squad. He has reportedly chosen Greece, and we respect his decision and wish him all the best with Greece. Sketchy says, I'm going to the Canberra game. Going to be a tight contest, but all whites for the win, says Sketchy. So let's talk about some possible formations, what we could see from this squad. I've put together this little graphic of what the spread of players across the field, the depth chart might look like. And I tell you what, I'm just going to say straight off the bat, we may well see a change of formation in these 2 games for Australia. But we will look at this graphic first of all with the back 5 that Tony Popovic has been playing with the Socceroos. So obviously the goalkeepers there, Gauchi, Izzo, Glover, right wing back, Miller, Karacic. Yep. The centre-back options there, we've got Shikati, Deganek, Burgess could all be starting in a back 3. Rolls and Matthews could come in there. But just the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 centre-backs there. So Jordy Boss and Sammy Silvera. Now, Sammy Silvera reportedly has been featuring a little bit at left wing back for Middlesbrough, sorry. So is there maybe an option that we see Silvera utilised in a left wing back role for Australia? I mean, the only thing is we don't have another left back in there. No, as is Bayic, whose last competitive game was for the Socceroos against Saudi Arabia. So he has been playing with Melbourne City of late, of course, in the off-season. So Silvera may well be that backup option at left wing back. And the only reason why I think that as well is because you look at those wide attacking positions there, there's so many options there. O'Neill, Ballard, Asbeck, Teague in midfield, that's straightforward. And the striker positions as well, that's straightforward. But you can see it doesn't look quite balanced, this squad. And that's why I'm guessing that we may see a change of formation from Australia. Check out this squad, the spread of players of what we've got here for Australia. And we'd love to get your guys' thoughts on it. Will we see a change in formation, even maybe just for these friendlies from Australia, from Tony Popovic? Because you look at this setup here, and it feels like it makes a lot more sense shifting from a back 3, back 5 to a back 4, and playing with sort of a central attacking midfielder. What's 2 wide wingers? What do you guys make of this? Hrustic, Segecic, Kalik playing as those central attacking midfield options. You've got Boyle and Milanovic, who are right wingers. Metcalf and Aaron Kunda able to play off the left. Aaron Kunda's been playing off the left wing for Watford lately. Metcalf played off the left wing for Australia in the last window. So looking at this setup, possibly a 4-2-3-1 feels like it makes a lot more sense compared to the back five, where, again, just because there's so many attacking options there, I wonder if Tony Popovic is going to make the tweak. And he did make an interesting comment in his press conference today, where he talked about how he wants to continue to develop this squad. I can't remember the exact words that he used, but there was something in there that, to me at least, I took at as a hint that maybe he's looking to shake things up a little bit. Just, again, not maybe this isn't going to be a permanent change. But you look at the attacking players that have been included here: Hrustic, Segicic, Kalik, Boyle, Milanovic, Metcalf, Irankunda. These are attacking midfielders, wide players. I think we may see a change of formation. As Tarnley says here as well, so many centre attacking mids. Yep, indeed. MT mentions no Daniel Arzani. Yep, no Daniel Arzani in this squad. He has missed out. Tarnley also highlights that Jacob Italiano has missed out as well. Tarnley's also expecting Sammy Silvera at left wing back. G'day, Spencer. Any updates on Robertson? Can we get that sorted already? Dude, again, it's like, it's a bit of a, it feels like the Triantis situation, doesn't it? I mean, Alex Robertson has sort of, I guess, fallen out of the conversation, the Socceroos conversation. Hey, feels like a year or two ago, a lot of us were talking about Alex Robertson and keen to see him in the mix for the Socceroos. But I almost feel, I don't know about you guys, but like, if Alex Robertson starts putting together some fantastic performances for his club and everything, we'd love to see him included in the Socceroos squad. But I'm pretty comfortable with our midfield, to be honest. I'm pretty comfortable with it. You know, I'm looking at O'Neill, Yazbek, Teague, Ballard, 4 really top central midfielders. So I'm kind of okay with Australia being without Robertson for the time being. Again, we'd love to see him included in the Socceroos squad. But it feels like the conversation has sort of died down a little bit. Hey. G'day, John. No Callum Elder. Yeah, he's one that I would have loved to have seen included in the squad. He's been playing regularly for Derby County. Scored a cracking free kick the other day as well. Not in Tony Popovic's squad. So that's another player that I would have included for sure. Especially considering, again, like, so this sort of formation and the spread of these players here looks good to me. But yeah, that left back position is interesting. Yeah. Jordy Boss. I mean, Sammy Silvera. Look, again, to flick back to this setup here, the back five, I think Silvera could definitely work in a left wing back role if you're playing with those 3 central defenders. Wing backs, you know, in that setup, allowed a bit more freedom, perhaps. Sammy Silvera, I don't think is capable of playing left back in a back four. That just doesn't make sense to me. Being a Central Coast Mariners fan, I'm used to seeing Sammy Silvera tearing it up high up the pitch on the left wing. But again, it feels inevitable that Silvera may be playing some sort of a left back role, whether that's left back, left wing back. Because you look, again, just to flick back to this graphic here, I mean, you got so many wingers, you know, 4 players off that right-hand side, 3 off the left, just doesn't make sense to me. So, again, everything for me, we may well see the back five again, but everything for me is pointing to a change of formation for Australia to a 4-2-3-1. Yeah. Spencer says, I'm just a huge advocate for Robertson. Seems like Volpato wants to play for Italy, so I'd hate to see us Alex fumbled like Triantis. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's obviously disappointing to miss out on Triantis, but at the end of the day, it's the player's choice, isn't it? I mean, Triantis was called up to the training camp a few months ago, and he turned it down. Triantis turned it down, from what we've heard at least. Yeah, and to be honest, I'm not even considering Christian Volpato. I imagine he's, as you say, there wants to play for Italy. Yeah. Got to Newey Jets in the chat. Welcome, welcome. Spencer says possibly a back 3 and a dual central attacking mids is also a possibility. Yeah, and like this formation, it basically is that anyway. Hey, like they're not really in Tony Popovic's system. They don't necessarily play super wide. Those wingers, they cut in quite a lot. Which would really suit a bunch of these players. Like I think Hrustic would really suit that right attacking position, cutting in on his left foot. Same for someone like Nesri Irankunda, can off the left-hand side, cutting in on his right foot. Yeah. John highlights that many of our recent captains not included. New skipper. We will see a new captain, right? Because no Matty Ryan in this squad. So just trying to think who would be given the captain's armband, because it is a relatively young squad. I mean, maybe someone like Milos Degenek. I think you're looking at Degenek. You look at all these players here, and he's probably the most experienced. I mean, I'm just looking through it now. Hey, it is a very young squad, isn't it? Like I don't know off the top of my head. I don't know if you guys can look this up, but the average age of this squad must be one of the youngest we've seen in recent times for Australia. Hey, Adstar agrees, says Degenek probably captain. MT also says solid squad depth. I wonder if we ever call back Bajic, Duke, Leckie. I think all those guys could definitely return. I mean, Leckie was enormous in the A-League Men's Grand Final, so if he stays fit for City this season and puts in strong performances, he could return. And the cool thing with Matt Leckie as well is that he's turned into Mr. Versatile. The last World Cup he was playing, up top, out wide for Australia. For Melbourne City lately, he's basically been playing as a defensive midfielder. So Leckie provides that versatility. But obviously he's getting a bit older now. Same thing with Mitch Duke and as is Bajic. I think Bajic, we'll see what happens over the next year with Jacob Farrell. Because I think, he hasn't been playing lately for Portsmouth, but I think we'd all love to see Jacob Farrell. But I think Aziz Bajic could still be a valuable inclusion, Aziz Bajic over the next year. Spencer says, really stoked to see Metcalf included. Really feel like he's been a dark horse in our squad for a few camps now. Yeah, we should highlight, he's one of the few players playing in one of the top leagues in Europe, St. Pauli in Bundesliga. Obviously, same thing with Jackson Irvine, who's currently out injured. But Connor Metcalf, who is a top player. He's a quality player. And whether he's playing in midfield or, lately up in a wide position, he was good for the Socceroos in the last camp as well. MT, yep, I do agree. I reckon Degenek for captain for me. And Blinker says Leckie just needs to stop getting injured. Stop getting injured, Matty. Not just for the Socceroos, but for Melbourne City, of course, as well. But yeah, Matt Leckie showed us, I think, in those appearances in the final series in the A-League last season, that he still is a top player. Yeah. I did want to highlight as well, I'll flick over to this graphic here. This was my prediction. We did a video earlier this week predicting the squad that we may see. This was my prediction here. So I was kind of close. A few players in my prediction that missed out. So no Tommy Dang. Almost got the backline spot on. No Callum Elder, no Matty Ryan, no Cammy Devlin in there as well. And Duke and Yengi. Cassini Yengi. I haven't seen any of you bring up Cassini Yengi. Isn't that interesting? I haven't seen anyone bring up Cassini Yengi. How are we feeling about Cassini Yengi? He scored a goal for Aberdeen the other day. Is Cassini Yengi still in the mix for Socceroos strikers? Or are we going to see a situation where Toure and Botic sort of take over ahead of him in the pecking order? I think Cassini, look, if you've been watching this channel for a long time, I'm a big Cassini Yengi fan. I just think when he's in form, he's a top striker, man. I really like Cassini Yengi. He's tall, he's strong, he's got a good finishing ability and versatile as well, whether he plays up top, through the middle, or out wide. So I think he's still in the mix for me. But interesting to see that no one's mentioned Yengi. Adstar does say here now that Yengi is a good pick. He needs to be more consistent. That's true. Spencer on Cassini Yengi says, feel like Yengi needs a couple more months to prove. Hasn't been super exciting recently, but definitely someone we can call upon and get what we expected. Yeah. Like going forward, this is a bit unusual that we see only two recognised strikers there for Australia in Toure and Botic. So it feels like going forward in squads we should see three strikers picked, and Yengi may well be that third striker in the mix. Yeah, Ethan, absolutely. Ethan here says, I'm really interested to see Chris Wood versus Degenek. Dude, it's going to be great. Great test for the Socceroos defence coming up against a class Premier League striker in Chris Wood, who, is going to be a real test for our backline there. Real test for our backline. So the question for you guys now, as we'll discuss over the next few minutes, is what is the strongest starting 11 in this squad? What does it look like? Again, to flick back to this back five, and again, what formation do you think we'll pick? That's probably the first question. Do you think we play with the back five, the back three? Or do you think it will be a back four? That's basically our two options. There. Again, it feels like the back four may be what we see. So pick a formation and then feel free to drop in your starting 11. But for me, I tell you what, I'm really excited about the attacking players that we're seeing included in the squads. And I think we may well see the Socceroos play a 4-2-3-1 system. If we don't, if we do play the back five, it's just really bizarre. Some of the inclusions. So many attacking players included. I'm with you, Adstar. Gauci starts for me. Yep. Paul Izzo, just recently returning from injury. Tommy Glover hasn't been playing much for Middlesbrough. So Joe Gauci feels like he's the starter. Definitely. In terms of a backline for me, I think I'm going for those four. I would go for those four players that are there. So Miller, Chikati, Burgess, Boss. Deganek could certainly be in there as well. But Alessandro Chikati, man, I mean, he's one of the really exciting players going forward for the Socceroos. He could be the starting centre-back for Australia over the next decade or so. So I would start Chikati even ahead of Deganek. Defensive midfielders, I would go O'Neill and Yazbek. Adstar's dropping in some starting 11 suggestions. So Silvera, Burgess, Deganek, Miller. Spencer has dropped in his starting 11 prediction. Gauci, Miller, Chikati, Matthews, Burgess, Boss. So the back five there. Yazbek, Metcalf, Rustic, Boyle, Toure. Yeah. I mean, yeah, we could definitely see Metcalf play in a central midfield role as well. Adstar's also backing Teague and O'Neill for those defensive midfield positions. And Adstar also highlights that the only guy missing in the backs is Harry Sutar. Yeah, and that's like this is almost a full strength backline for Australia here, with Harry Sutar in the mix. Yeah, you feel like he would be in there too, hey. So yeah, I would go O'Neill and Yazbek in those defensive midfield positions, and then for the attacking positions, I would start Boyle and Metcalf. I would start Boyle and Metcalf in the wide positions. In attacking mid, you probably would start Aiden Hrustic. But I would love to see Adrian Segicic get some quality minutes across these two games. So would love to see Segicic start. But I wouldn't be surprised if Hrustic does get the nod from the start in attacking midfield. And out of those two strikers, I would start Mohamed Toure. I mean, he's made a good start to life or good start to the season, I should say, for Randers. Yeah. For the striker, Adstar says either Toure or Botic, maybe Botic to give him a test. Yeah. Tarnley says it's back in a 3-2-4-1 formation. Love it. Very attacking. Tarnley's backing Izzo to start in goals. Boss, Miller, Burgess, Deganek, and Chikati in the back line. Ballard and Teague to start. Segicic, Irankunda, Botic. I mean, dude, imagine... dude, I'd be so excited to see the Socceroos start with Segicic and Irankunda. Like, they're just two players who just play without fear. Fantastic goal scorers, able to score from any distance. So, yeah. Yeah, I'd love to see Segicic and Irankunda get a run from the start as well, hey. Yeah. Spencer here. Now, this is a good point from Spencer. Says, I'm confident most of this squad will feature across the two games. Remember, Arnold fielded two vastly different sides in 2022 against New Zealand. Spencer, you might be spot on there. I could see that happening. Yeah. I'll tell you what, this might even be a situation where Tony Popovic even plays two different systems, two different formations, where maybe for one game he does go for that back five there. What he has been playing usually. And maybe for one of the games he shakes it up and goes for a 4-2-3-1. Gives some more minutes to some of those more attacking-minded players. So that could well be what we see. G'day to Trampoline in the chat. Welcome. Great to see all you guys here. Appreciate you guys joining us for our live reaction to this Socceroos squad. We're going to be live for a few more minutes before we wrap up, so feel free to jump in the chat with any comments, questions. How are we feeling about this team? What are our overall reactions and emotions? Really excited to see what the Socceroos have to show across these two games against a good New Zealand side. And there's so much to be excited about. You look at the young players named in the squad. Segicic is in there. Iran Kunda, still so young. Great to see Toure and Bocic, two younger strikers in there as well. Jakarti, one for the future. Matthews in the mix as well. Hopefully there is a situation where, all players get some minutes here. Max Ballard, keen to see him involved. Hopefully he gets some minutes on the field. For memory, he hasn't actually stepped on the field for Australia, has he, Max Ballard? So this would be a good opportunity for him. The only maybe question mark is that left back position, because I don't think we'll see Silvera playing at left back in a back four, but we'll see. We shall see. All right, we're going to wrap up in a few more minutes. Spencer here says, happy to see Ryan found a club finally. Hope it works out and would love to see him and Gauci duke it out for the starting World Cup squad role. Yes. Yeah. Matty Ryan at Levante in La Liga. Joe Gauci in the third tier of England. So obviously got Matt Ryan obviously playing at a much higher level. So if both are playing consistently, imagine Matty Ryan would be the starter. But Joe Gauci, man, hopefully he has a strong campaign for Port Vale. G'day, Joseph. No Jason Guerrier in this squad. He hasn't been playing lately much in Japan. I'm not sure if he's out injured at the moment, but he hasn't been getting many minutes of late. Adstar says Papa needs to start selecting the team he is going to take to the World Cup so the players get used to each other. That's the important thing as well. Even though there's still a long time, there's not necessarily that many windows remaining. So these matches are really important. Again, even though these are friendlies, so important, so competitive for these players to really make sure they prove to Tony Popovic that they are capable of performing for Australia. Yeah. So it will be interesting to see whether this is indeed a similar squad to what the Socceroos squad, to what the Socceroos field for the World Cup next year. Sketchy asks, do you think it's playing in Canberra is actually a disadvantage for Australia? I don't think so. I don't see why that would be a disadvantage. Should be a great crowd in attendance in Canberra. Spencer, you're spot on. Rolls can also play left back, did a few games when Arnold was the coach. Spencer, you might be spot on. We might have to tweak this graphic. Yeah, I think maybe Rolls could well be utilised as that backup left back. I mean, the bottom line is, right? The bottom line is that Jordy Boss will probably just be starting at left back and playing 90 minutes in both games. So it was a situation where Tony Popovic was confident that Jordy Boss was going to be that starting left back. And again, he's someone that I've talked about for the last couple of years now. I'm a huge Jordy Boss fan. He will be the Socceroos starting left back for the next decade. He's an incredibly talented footballer. So, Kai Rolls could easily slot in there if needed as well. Tarnley highlights that Jed Drew missed out. Too many attacking options. Yes, and I believe Jed Drew was included in that under-23 squad earlier in the week. Yeah. All righty, guys. We're going to wrap it up there. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We're going to be doing a dedicated preview video for the Socceroos versus New Zealand games early next week. So stay subscribed to the channel so I don't miss that one. A lot going on at the moment. We've got the Australia Cup semi-finals over the weekend. My predictions video is also out right now on the channel, so feel free to check that out. My preview and thoughts on the two Australia Cup semi-finals coming up. And then next week, it's all about the Socceroos taking on New Zealand. Really excited to see what this squad shows for us fans. So many exciting players have been included in this team. Very, very happy with this squad. And it sounds like you guys are too. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure to hit the like button on the way out and stay subscribed to keep up to date to everything going on here at Oswald Football. Appreciate you guys tuning in once again. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.